be banned by Elements because SK are so good now in the early game, in the laning phase, and Svenskeren is so aggressive. He invades into the enemy jungle every single time, and wow, Graves first pick. It's been the most played champion for both Rekkles and Froggen. So far, the first battle has now been won by Elements by getting the Graves.
See Rekkles with that little smirk there. He knows he wanted that one. So
this leaves
a lot of stuff. Yeah, Nar's available, Jarvan's available.
Together.
You mentioned before there's been some counterplay available for it, but still, I mean, you give up a lot just to take this Graves away from Froggen and to give it to Rekkles.
Oh, I see it's open.
Yes.
We have so many power picks open. That's why actually Elements can take Graves, because there are still so many strong picks left that even though SK will get 2 of them, plenty for Elements. Janna open as well if you want some disengage on the support. Obviously both the Leona and Ahri, the 2 heavy engage supports we have seen. And this is the first time we see Azir in quite a while, because it used to be banned away here in Europe. He's just so strong. He's a flex pick, mid lane, top lane, doesn't even matter. Good lane matchup, very strong in the lane swap as well. Freddy, he loves to be 1v2 in those lane swaps. Could go for him.
Yes, Svenskeren, as the timer ticks down, does grab himself the Jarvan. So Nar's still up here, but there's so much more. I mean, this is really interesting. Froggen's going for the Lissandra. Thinking about it at the very least, he had a great performance on it yesterday. Of course, it could also go to Wickd.
Again, it is a flex pick. It's what we often see here. You don't tell too much by your early picks. Graves is very common here in Europe as the #1 AD carry. Strong laning phase, strong mid game. And also Rekkles loves to actually sit in a side lane, and he farms till he's level 11. So he hits that massive power spike of getting, of course, 2 items completed and rank 2 of your ulti. And then you look for team fights from the side of Elements, and that's what he likes to do. I think SK Gaming has to look out for in this game. But for now, Elements still thinking. So many picks open, it's almost impossible to start predicting what's going to get locked in. And Rengar again for Shook. Lissandra is open, then later on for Elements to do exactly the same combo they did yesterday, where Froggen was playing Lissandra and Shook was playing Rengar and just camping that mid lane.
And another hard engage support for Nyph here. This time it's Leona. But the Graves Leona lane definitely has some serious inbuilt synergy there, as well as a lot of roaming potential. SK taking their time to find an answer. Yeah,
normally when Froggen can get Graves, he locks in Lucian, and he tries to play the same way, very aggressive in these mid-game teamfights, dashing in and out, and has this fantastic ability to always find farm on the map and get ahead of his get ahead of the other AD carry.
It's going to be hard to do against Rekkles, though.
Yeah, he's an AD carry who used to do exactly the same last year, where obviously Froggen was not in the LCS during the summer split, and he will go towards that Lucian pick for him, so no real surprise here.
Also, Fox's Ahri too. I like this if they do go for it. There's a lot of catch and a lot of poke.
But honestly, Elements, they can go Lissandra again.
It's true.
There's no disengage on the side of SK. Janna could be a potential last pick for them, but Lissandra Rengar, the same combination we saw yesterday, can be locked in by Elements. And then Wickd. He's going to have to deal with Azir in the top lane. Aurelia is actually banned away, so never mind that point for me. But now it will still be open if you just want a fairly standard tank.
Yeah, they have that potential. Elements taking their time as well, but this is not unusual for them too. They tend to take the full clock rotation out and debate what they want. Here, once again, against SK Gaming.
If they do take the Gnar, I think we're going to see a lane swap coming in from Elements, because that's a very, very tough lane against Azir. Alright, so we get again the Lissandra, as we talked about for Froggen. Same comp between him and Shook, so look for a lot of ganks in this mid lane, especially after level 6 from Shook. Rumble into Azir is a very risky matchup though by Wickd, because Azir will take full control of that lane and just poke him out.
Yeah, Wicked's been a bit of a mixed bag too. He had a really great performance on the Gnar yesterday. However, he's been a bit shaky in some of the other matchups, so I want to see how he does with this Rumble.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's actually locking in Rumble, because you don't really need too many items on it. You don't have to completely outfarm the other top lane. You just need your early magic penetration, and you are very useful in team fights. And because again there's so much AoE, CC, and engage from Elements, it's all about just flying in there in the mid game. Every single champion has some sort of AoE, and you just smack it down on SK Gaming if they get caught out of position. Janna needs to be the lock-in from nRated here. They need to get some disengage to stop Elements from diving onto them. Morgana would be the only other option for him.
Yeah, I think that made the most sense. They do lock it in. Now the comps are filled out. Another squishy composition from SK, but they've been trusting it so far, and it's yet to lead them astray.
Yeah, and two comps that spike very hard in the mid game. AD carries, mid laners, same deal. And obviously the Rumble pick from Elements. Meaning here for SK, do they manage to go late game? Azir will completely outscale a Rumble. That could be the go-to tactic. But normally when we see SK play, they don't sit back and wait. They will aggressively push every single lane, get them these outer turrets and use them and the minions obviously pushing further into the enemy territory to get that extra information and vision because they don't really buy the wards. But honestly, if you don't buy wards against this comp from Elements, you're going to get engaged on again and again and you won't know what's hitting you.
You'll be in some trouble, and you definitely won't if you can't see it. So we'll see maybe if they change that up just a little bit
They
here.
have to.
They're undefeated so far. They still facing down a very tough team in Elements who did have that one early loss, but they hadn't lost until then. This is such a tough order for both teams, I feel like, to face off against one another. And their styles are so interestingly kind of mix and match up here because SK's going to want to fight this out, but they have to go and get the damage down early against this comp. We'll see how it works out for them with those picks locked in. Let us know if you still think either Elements or SK are going to take this one with the hashtags ELWin or SKWin. Tweet those at LOL Esports. I think you'll have something to say. The crowd certainly does. As this game is getting ready to get underway, they're excited. The stamps, the claps. It is the final game of the day and the final game of week 3. Elements versus SK Gaming. And here we go, onto the Rift.
And these two comps here will give us a very explosive game. Alliance, Elements, obviously, used to be Alliance. All about getting in that hard engage. Massive AoE coming in, massive amounts of CC, where SK, they want to disengage first, and then you can re-engage later once the ultis are gone from Wickd, ultis are gone from Froggen. That's when you want to fight. So nRated on this Janna here. He needs to play it perfectly in these team fights. And SK have to invest into some wards so they can see the Rengar coming. You need those pink wards down, otherwise he can just catch you out.
Bit of an early invade here for Elements. Not placing down too many wards just yet, but they've got plenty of time to do that. As this game starts off, you see Rekkles making the move himself. Does do that one. So you mentioned the potential lane swap ability here, and they are going to be on the lookout for just one.
Yeah, again, Elements looking for that lane swap against SK. Tough lanes all around, both in the bottom lane and obviously in the top lane. For them, if nRated once again times the Hurricane correctly, he will be able to stop Nyph from engaging onto him in the lane. And this one actually stayed alive. Let's see what we get. Still staying on the top side of the map from Elements. A lot of pings going on, yeah.
But also, you see Forgiven and hanging back at the very edge of all that.
So they're trying to wait for the ward to disappear, but they couldn't wait long enough because the minions were already on their way to the lane. So they have to go in there and actually start either setting up their freeze, which it doesn't look like they want to do. Instead, gonna actually crooks for themselves. Knowing that now they've been spotted by Elements, so they know Elements have now gone down to the bottom wave, and it's too late for them to set up a freeze anyway for Forgiven and nRated. So they just take some extra XP and gold before they go over to this lane, which is gonna be an empty lane anyway, with Rekkles and Nyph in the bottom lane.
That one starts off. Freddy, dueling it out. Oh, pretty low against those Raptors, actually.
This is a very standard style though by SK in terms of lane swapping. They always get a camp for Freddy, so he gets early level 2. He goes back to base, often buys a ward with it or some potions, and then he teleports down to the bottom lane or runs all the way down to the bottom lane, depending on how much pressure there is from the minions. And then he basically sits there in a 1v2 situation. He doesn't get help from Svenskeren normally. He doesn't get help from nRated because nRated always wants to fast push together with Forgiven. So I want to see if Elements now has done their homework, knowing there's a very high chance of Freddy staying alone in the bottom lane, so you can dive him very easily with your jungler and your top laner. For now, they're moving to the bottom side.
I think Rekkles definitely discovered that just a moment ago. Already at half health, but Freddy's able to sustain up. Those biscuits definitely helping him out. On the other side of the equation, Wickd is not able to get to that top lane just yet. Still playing out the double farm game. Helps Shook out clearing the ward.
And look at the minimap here. Svenskeren goes back to base. Do you want to go bot lane to help my top lane? Nah, not at all. I'm just going to go straight red buff here. Nyph, nRated is still sitting in the top wave or top lane, pushing it in with Forgiven, so there's no help from Freddy. And this is the first team to punish Freddy and SK Gaming from doing this very greedy lane swap, where he's basically left on his own. Normally he gets free farm, people don't punish him. Elements, they did this time around, forced him away from the turret. Still not enough, however. I'm not sure why Wickd and Shook is backing away now, actually allowing Fred to go back in and pick up some farm, because he's gonna get so far ahead compared to Wickd now.
Yeah, Wicked's...
It looks so good, and then they backed away.
Yeah, the Doran shield start too. He's gonna be very behind in items if this keeps up for a little while. Forgiven and nRated, still freely pushing the slow push up in the top. So a little bit of a strange start here to this game.
Yeah.
Oh, they've caught Freddy though.
Freddy.
Here we go, Rekkles, the damage is enough. He flashes, he dashes, and he gets away, but it was close.
That was a good catch though, because Freddy wanted to try and save the tower. This one is gonna go down. Notice how now SK let the tower kill all the minions, so they won't be pushing down towards elements in this case. So they let the tower clean out everything, nothing left for Wickd. Gonna do another wave. And then, actually in this case, because they decided to kill this wave and not the tower, they're gonna have to push it all the way down, because they can't wait for a tower to do all the work. So now they have to push it down to the second turret. Wickd will be able to get a lot of farm and XP. So not really sure why they actually touched this minion. They should have left it alone, finished off the turret, and then just backed away so the two waves would meet and actually be equally strong. And then Wickd wouldn't be able to pick up a lot of extra farm, which he will now when he's in the lane.
Back to the mid, Froggen dealt a bit of harass onto Fox, who's just able to not take any more backs away there. Nyph and Rekkles still zoning away Freddy, although he does get a little bit of poke and answer himself. He hasn't been able to pick up much farm here. It's very difficult against this deadly bot lane.
Oh, and right now, he just wants to save the turret, and Red is already here, so the tower will stay alive. Elements didn't push it hard enough because they went back into the jungle with Rumble and Rengar instead of trying to punish Azir here. So still an edge or advantage for SK. They got the turret, will be able to defend the next one, and BF Sword picked up for Forgiven, so he won't get pushed in this lane here.
Yeah, now we do finally get to see if when he makes his move down here. He's already stated it once, best bot lane by far. Can he back it up?
Yeah, definitely a good start for him. Also with the tower giving him the extra gold so he could get the BF Sword, because Rekkles right now is sitting on 1,300 gold for himself. So he can actually go back because he needs to get a BF Sword as well. That's why he's forced to stay in the lane, despite only having a Doran's Blade into the BF Sword of Forgiven. So he will lose a lot of CS, he will even lose a lot of HP on his tower when he's forced to go back, and a bad timing for him. So that tower really meant a lot for SK, getting that extra goal for Forgiven.
Yeah, nice movement there by SK Gaming, and of course, having that timely back, being able to defend.
Oh, this is not good for Rekkles.
No, it is not indeed.
Realizing that he can't even stay in the lane, so he has to go back to base. Only gets the pickaxe instead of the BF Sword for Forgiven. So falling pretty far behind in this lane, and will still take a lot of damage. But Shook onto Svenskeren.
Flag and drag away, and a flash to top it off as Froggen scares him further back. Meanwhile, down bot lane, Forgiven. nRated, poke it out, but Nyph is still there for the defense.
And this really is the SK tactic. You fast push in the lane swap to get the first tower, then you swap back down to the bottom lane where your tower is still alive because your top lane has played very greedy and he's staying alone and just trying to wave clear. If you manage to defend it, you get this edge here early on. We see for Forgiven now compared to Rekkles. And then you just keep playing very aggressive. You keep pushing the lane over and over. Take the next turret. And once all the outer turrets are gone, because again you need the minions to push further into the territory of elements, then it gives you more vision because they again can push in there. You don't get the wards down, but that's how you get your information. And these slow pushes they're gonna build up become stronger and stronger and more deadly as well, forcing elements then to go back and defend. And that's how SK later in the game is gonna just take over the map, at least from what we have seen beforehand, and just get all the dragons, time these minion waves really well, and play around them.
SK Gaming now going for a bit of jungle control, grabbing this blue buff. Hopefully giving that one over to Freddy, and Elements are none the wiser about it, so they get that one for free. Wickd, not been quite so starved on CS now that he's had a little bit of free time to himself. Freddy, and he will continue to trade it out just a little bit. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane as well, Rekkles still looking for an in here onto Forgiven.
Yeah, not too surprising. Forgiven is the AD carry in the EU LCS who has their largest CS lead at 10 and 20 minutes on average in his games. Gonna be the same in this one. 13 CS ahead of Rekkles, only 8 minutes in That's really just because, again, the poorly timed back from Rekkles here. Either you go back earlier before Froggen shows up in the lane, get your pickaxe, or you stay for that BF sword. Decided to go do something in between, and therefore lost a lot of CS for it.
Yeah, and SK grabs that other blue buff too, so they've gotten both of the ones on the map here. Froggen not going to be able to have that regen. However, this has been a very quiet mid lane, not too surprisingly when Froggen's involved.
Yeah, and Shook, not level 6 yet, so he hasn't really been able to camp the lane. And we see obviously Ahri playing very far back, respecting the gank from Elements, knowing that if I don't die right now, the rest of my lanes are doing just fine. And we definitely want to get this Azir scaling into the late game for Freddy.
Yeah, Shook had a pretty monster performance on Rengar yesterday. However, still below that level 6 threshold. Looks like he just gets it
now.
Perfectly timed. There we go. And now, let's see if he can make a difference.
Look at the pink ward here placed by Elements just behind the dragon. Allowing Shook to sit in there, pop his ulti, knowing there's no wards to spot him when he actually activates the stealth. He's going down towards the bottom lane though.
And Rated smelled something was up. Moves right out of that brush.
And no wards though to spot it. Forgiven. Playing it safe and wise.
It's going to be just a bit of spent time for Shook. Meanwhile, Svenskeren is looking for Froggen, who will be able to make his great escape. Deny the kill in the mid lane.
That was very close. Froggen just managed to activate his claw and actually get out of there. Didn't have to blow anything. Didn't have flash. Didn't actually get to see when he used it.
Now the claw decides who lives and who dies.
Exactly.
Find the Scuttle Crab as well. Yeah.
Good. 82 gold for Svenskeren. And obviously now, notice as well how SK always plays around Dragon. Freddy will push out his lane, and then he's gonna walk from top lane down towards the mid lane. And then he sits in the mid lane and just keeps farming, If he's not needed at the Dragon, he just walks straight back to top lane, and he never stops farming, he never uses his teleport, he saves it, and because he's controlling the lane, it simply means that Wickd couldn't do anything to stop him from pushing it down. And first Dragon for SK. Once again, they've only given up one Dragon in the LCS.
Well, 2 now.
2 now.
Oh, true. Well, they traded the other one. Oh, you mean Elements, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, SK has only given up one Dragon so far in the LCS, if I'm correct.
I think there was one yesterday.
Oh,
anyways.
2 Dragons then, who cares?
So they did trade one for a Baron, it was quite good. But SK Gaming, yeah, they have that impeccable control. And they have a lot of burst damage as well. Forgiven
is going to be able to take this tower once Rekkles goes back to base, because Rekkles is falling behind an item. And Forgiven keeps pushing. That's also why Svenskeren is showing himself in this bottom lane.
Shook's here too, though. They check a little too far forward. Forgiven.
Yeah, you don't want to take that 3 versus
but he knows
3
something
your elements. It's going to be a tower from SK very, very soon.
Svenskeren preparing to back away. This tower's starting to get
recalls.
fired down. If he does leave, yeah. It's dangerous.
Good.
It's a game of chicken in these brushes. Unsighted, of course. Froggen gonna head back to the mid. Wicked's actually moving here as well. This is gonna give some free farm over to Freddy. They'll just continue to trade that one out. So it's been a lot of searching, sniffing for openings for Elements. SK have just gotten a little bit better of it thanks to that Dragon.
Shook is sitting right in the mid lane.
Yes, he is.
No way for SK to spot him on his own turret. Oh,
Foxu does not connect the charm. The claw will not be followed up. Svenskeren was there. Oh, wait a minute. Fox goes a little far forward. There's first blood. All of a sudden, Shook is going to go ahead and grab it.
Exactly like yesterday. Same deal here. Shook sits at his own turret in the mid lane, pops his ulti, and Froggen obviously goes in and just locks down whoever he's playing against.
And an immediate pause. Making it go forward here. I feel like still, it's been such a long time that you just got to like shake everything else away. 12.5 minutes in. We're back to this game. Thanks for waiting, guys. The game will continue for the time being.
Yeah, and just quickly to talk about the game so far, we had a lane swap from SK Gaming where they managed to take the top tower and then swap back down to the bottom lane, take another tower. The one you see on the screen, that is an Azir turret being killed by Elements, so they are behind 2 towers to 0, but first blood was picked up in the mid lane by Froggen, Wickd, and Shook just before the pause happened.
Indeed, it was an SK continuing their control of the blue buff. Both blue buffs, really. They grab another one in Elements territory as Rekkles joins Froggen in the mid lane. Froggen pops a culling, and there we go. There's another false tower adding to the score.
Yeah, we gotta
not be fooled by that.
Keep looking at the minimap, but still, so the first gank from Shook after he actually hit the level 6 point, tried the bottom lane, didn't work for him, and then went into mid lane. After Spirit Rush had already been used, so a fairly easy game to set up by Elements, and they can do it again if they want to, and keep applying pressure on this mid lane. This bottom lane turret is still alive, could be the focus point, but we see SK is already ready, and nRated is here, and Svenskeren is nearby in case Shook shows himself in this bottom lane.
Yeah, Rekkles still plugging away at a couple of those minions, but we took a look at the gold during the pause, and Froggen definitely on the up and up as per expected.
Yeah.
Of the GPM leader of the league. Here's Shook waiting in a brush, though, gonna jump on nRated the Bola and the Monsoon, but it won't be enough to save his life. Rekkles is going to come up with that kill. Shook jumping in and out of the brushes as he goes.
Froggen is fine. Yeah, Ahri's down the bottom lane.
Fox, he's going to check right. Whoa, they ran right past each other, and Fox, can he take down Nyph? He is going to get that kill.
Wickd actually teleported. Wickd is down his bottom lane here, but he's not really able to do anything.
Yeah, the charm. A lot of damage. Froggen living a bit dangerously, but he backs away when he runs out of mana, and that just turned up the heat as soon as we get back in.
Wow. Right back into this game. Two junglers here, both around the bottom lane, and we saw actually some very nice CC chaining by Elements onto nRated, so he couldn't flash away in time, but then obviously the roam coming and responding 1-for-1, and again teleport down from Wickd, even had to flash. So that's a big advantage for SK, especially because the dragon is 130, meaning Freddy can go back, push out the top lane, force Wickd to stay there, and he won't be able to join in, and it could be the second dragon then for SK.
They have had phenomenal dragon control so far. However, Elements, will they be keen to give this one up yet again? Froggen still trading out farm. He's actually gotten quite a lot of better farm than Fox. Yeah. Gotta be careful. He's actually staying a little bit safe, but not safe enough. Here comes Froggen with the Frozen Tomb. Shook intercepts the towers, and just like clockwork, 1, 2, 3, they grab themselves another Fox.
So hard to play against that combo from Element. You see the flash bowler strike from Shook, so there's no chance to escape it, and then Froggen obviously follows up. Pushed him down to 2 kills now in this mid lane. 1 for Froggen, 1 for Shook. And Elements doing exactly what they did yesterday against MYM. Camp the mid lane, get Froggen ahead on this Lissandra. Because he's farming like an absolute beast.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to put Froggen to shame. Although Froggen is still staying ahead this one. Once again, 22 seconds on this dragon. Shook and Nyph in position at the Scuttle Crab. Meanwhile, Freddy up in the top lane, plugging away, but he's got teleport available should SK Gaming require this. The rest of Elements, all of the Elements are actually right here. Here comes Froggen, although he's got no ouch. Svenskeren, he's gonna jump on him, he's down. They're looking for more as Freddy teleported in. Wickd comes up with the pick on Svenskeren as Froggen is dropped as well. Froggen does not quite have enough damage to polish off Shook, but he's so low, it would be way too dangerous to try and get involved in this. Monsoon spent by nRated for a little bit of sustain there. And now Froggen starts off the dragon.
No smite for SK Gaming here.
Dangerous.
Is back in base. They will secure this dragon here. Elements trying to respond by taking the mid turret.
Yep, they do take dragon number 2. Can Elements poke this one down? It's still pretty dangerous as Freddy shifting sands his way forward. And nRated and Froggen there to clear the wave out. And Elements get nothing.
Yeah, and Elements actually had a pretty good setup for this dragon here. Wickd had pushed the top wave, and then he just walked all the way down, so didn't get punished for his lack of teleport. But then with Froggen getting charmed up, and obviously the fight started, they trade 1-for-1, and because SK came out ahead, they could take the second dragon, still defend the mid turret as well.
So SK Gaming keeps Elements away from the turrets yet again. Froggen padding his CS with a couple of wolves back up there as Froggen moves down to the bottom side. No turret for him here, but he will grab a little bit more of those CS numbers. And meanwhile, SK sending Fox, Froggen and nRated, to try and push down this middle turret, but it's dangerous.
It is, but the Elements have Wickd in here defending.
Oh,
not enough wave clear though. If Froggen is in the mid lane, then there's no wave clear from Elements at all, and that's why SK can push it down. Froggen is moving up here. I do actually like his item build as well, going for the tanky style, which he likes to do, Abyssal Scepter, and then Hourglass the next item, just with a bit of cooldown reduction from the Codex. But once you get that hourglass, you can really start diving the back line of SK. But he needs to stay in the mid lane if they want to wave clear. Otherwise, SK can push it back again. Now, though, contesting blue buffs is a thing Elements always like to do. Fight also in these small choke points in the jungle. When you have a Rumble and a Lissandra, you can cover the entire area and just AoE down SK. And that's why they have to back away and respect Elements and give up this blue buff area.
Well, they have given up quite a lot of blue buffs so far on the side of Elements. SK Gaming had already cleaned that one out. Looks like he's set to come up in just a moment as they try to push down the tower. Blue buff spawns up, and they'll be going for it. Here you go. There's your fan vote. Elements still coming out ahead in this one. So about close to 60% of you guys gonna say that they'll hand SK their first loss. Let's see how that one does work out. Almost 20 minutes into this game. Elements have grabbed no towers, just the Azir turrets.
Got the bottom lane turret before,
here.
yeah. Got the top.
Oh, they did get the bottom lane, that's right.
Yes.
Oh, now I got myself juked all over.
I mean, it's a trick with these stupid Azir turrets everywhere.
Every time. Oh, Rekkles, he just keeps taking so much poke in this situation. The culling is out too. He's gonna force Froggen to tank a little bit of it. They don't have the wave though.
Yeah, and again, Froggen is here to wave clear, but both him and Graves are fairly short ranged, meaning SK can always poke them when they try to clear the waves and keep them in this mid lane. Pink ward has been placed now around the Raptor camp from Elements, meaning Shook can activate his ulti knowing he's not spotted and go for the engage once it is ready and look for that fight. Froggen is going in!
Yeah, they've caught Freddy. They throw down the equalizer. Nyph, he gets pushed back. Freddy just barely goes down. Here comes Svenskeren, but there is no team to follow up. Elements with a quick 2 for none. They defended the tower, but it's not like it will be much to knock it over.
And a bit of a misplayed fight here by SK. Freddy's staying a bit too far forward. He needs nRated next to him to instantly disengage. And then Svenskeren as well, jumping in after Azir had already died. Not the right call, but still getting the tower, but 2 kills more from Elements. And we're staying dead even in gold.
Now let's take a look at how that one happened again. You mentioned the pink ward, ensuring it wouldn't be spotted, but here he goes.
Yeah, so again, you need your Janna to be next to Azir to try and save him from this all-in, but this is basically just actually all the AoE damage, so nothing nRated really could do actually keep him alive this time around. And then obviously Svenskeren jumping in. A bit of a suicide mission and ends up dying for it, but actually take it back with nRated. His position was okay. It was just all the AoE damage from Elements taking out Freddy.
Yeah, he was already starting to melt by the time the Monsoon was used.
Exactly.
It really just wasn't much they could do about that. Rekkles picked it up. So Elements coming ahead in the kill score quite well this game. However, SK still pushing objectives.
Again, it is the SK style. You don't really care about the kills. You care about getting towers down, getting global gold for everyone, so you get that item advantage. You see again, they're still slightly ahead because they have 3 turrets to 1 on the side of SK. And I have to give them some credit. They're actually buying a lot of wards in this game compared to what we normally see from them. There's a lot of defensive pink wards on the map already for them, so they're realizing we gotta get these wards, we gotta try and spot Shook, otherwise it's too easy for him to just engage on us every single time.
Sensing a tougher opponent, they do adapt their style. Now Rekkles and Nyph pushing up this top side should be able to polish off this turret now that Freddy's been zoned out of the picture. And there we go, Elements will grab another outer to even the score. It is 2-2-3. Do not let the Azir turrets fool you again.
No, and Elements now, because they've been able to win a few fights and get some picks, it actually bought time for them to really start pushing the side lanes, getting that outer turret down, slowing SK down a bit as well. Dragon is going to be the next point. Because you have 2 dragons already this early to 0, meaning Dragon Stone becomes more and more important for you if you are SK Gaming, because you're chasing towards that 5th dragon now. So you don't want to allow Elements, first of all, to get the 6% AP and AD. And at the same time, you don't want them to slow you down either and stop you from reaching the 5th dragon, very early on. So they're going to move in here, place a few of those wards already from SK. Especially the pink wards are going to be important. Make them face check your Ahri.
They had to fight for the last one, and SK had been typically pretty good, especially in the first couple weeks, at just taking uncontested dragons, just out-positioning their opponents. But that time, they had to pay for it, and they did buy it at the price of some champions. Elements was happy to make some trades, but they did give up the dragon.
Yeah, and Wickd not going for Haunting Guys in this game. Just full AP focus with that early death cap. He's very squishy if he does get locked down by the likes of Svenskeren. But remember, SK, They want elements to engage and then disengage with their Azir wall, with of course the Monsoon from a Janna, and then you re-engage after once all these important ultis from a Rumble, from a Lissandra, from a Rengar is gone, and you will be strong. But here's the engage!
Oh, they find the Leona ultimate, and Rekkles comes up with a quick double. That should be a dragon for elements. And they have done what few teams have been able to do against this SK squad.
Yeah.
Find the fight, secure the dragon. Nicely done. Let's go back to base.
Playing around the wards correctly here by elements. You go and you place them, you stay there, you defend them, you wait for SK to walk in and face take you, and then you get the perfect engage. No chance for SK to do anything. Notice here again, there's a ping ward in the small bush, so you can't see elements. Nice setup, no chance of a disengage. That's how you get the kills. And SK now realize if Elements has the ward control around Baron or Dragon in the future, then you can't walk down and try and fight them. You're going to have to give it up or be very, very careful.
Well, Froggen may be our GPM king thanks to his CS numbers, but Rekkles is the one that's stacking kills onto his Graves. We know in the mid game how quick that can get out of hand. Yeah, SK pushes some minion waves back. Yeah, this is still it's a tense moment for SK. They've faced a tough challenge in this Element squad.
For sure, and Elements have no reason to stop playing aggressive here. Keep playing around these wards where you are the better team and use your heavy engage comp. I mean, this comp is basically built around playing against SK because you know you're going to get these chances here where SK has no vision on the map to see you, and you can just start these perfect fights. So really, really smart draft from Elements, as long as they can keep getting the right engages. Shook's going in, and once again, not finding a target though, just checking if anyone is out of business. Whoa, nRated.
That was a quick solar flare and quick jump in for Shook, looking for nRated, but Froggen is there as well, calls him back, and Shook has to walk away licking his wounds, but they're still...
That's two important ultis gone now here.
It is, here comes Svenskeren, they're going to try to make the fight happen. Sven is going to bail out immediately, but Freddy is around the side. Fox, very low, Emperor's Divide, push them all back, but they've not got the damage to finish off. Yes, double they kill. Do! Wait just a minute! Double kill going over to Freddy, 1-2-2, and they are still going as Froggen will finally evaporate him, but it's a 4-for-1 in favor of SK Gaming.
Yeah, and this was fighting in the jungle where the Rumble and Lissandra are so strong, but because we had no ulti from Shook and no ulti from Nyph, SK felt they could go for the fight. Freddy came in untouched, got a double kill for himself. Baron being started here. Can Rekkles be a hero?
He's certainly going to try for the Baron. Already at half health, he throws down the smoke screen, not quite enough. Froggen.
One static chip frog is going to
do a lot here. They are all so low, but he can't connect the damage. Here goes Froggen in. Rekkles, he's zoned out of that one. At SK Gaming, take themselves a 26.5-minute Baron.
Yeah, so everything actually starts here by Elements going too aggressive on nRated. Not sure what Shook is trying to do here. The rest of his team is not following. He takes a lot of damage for it. He's now basically useless. A Rengar with no ult, he won't do anything. And SK, they see the chance to go in. First, Ahri pops in, then Jarvan. And notice how Svenskeren, he pops his ulti and he flashes away. He knows he's going to die otherwise. And now Freddy, down the bottom of your screen, left, untouched, just spamming away with these soldiers here, and then he's doing so much damage.
Yeah, finds himself quite a lot in that one. He does go down at the end of that fight, but SK Gaming really with the reinitiation and taking advantage of the overcommitment of Elements. Yeah. Grab themselves a Baron, 4 members for 1, really nicely played out, and they are back up in quite a comfortable lead.
Now you have the Baron now, you're pushing down. Decent poke coming out of SK. Not really a siege comp they're running, but you have a lot of range on your champions here. With, of course, Lucian, Ahri, and Azir together to get a bit of damage on this tower. But you need to ward your flanks if you want to push up here with this Baron buff, because otherwise, Elements can still get the right engage and beat you in a fight.
Svenskeren acting the human ward as he clears out the wolves right there, but they are potentially worried about Shook. Thrill the Hunt is re-enabled now, so we'll see if he wants to go in.
Yeah, I think Svenskeren actually went out and smited the wolf to get that small little vision ghost flying around to see if anyone's coming from that side. But Shook is standing down this towards the Raptor camp. There's no wards on him, so he can go in if he wants to.
Yeah, he's going to jump. He jumps right onto Fox, and they're gonna push him back right away. Collateral damage, not enough to finish off Fox. Tower goes down. Yet another one picked up by SK Gaming. They've got a few more minions in the tank to push this one in.
And another fight started by Elements where they're not really on the same page. There was no engage coming from Froggen. Trying to back up his teammate Shook here, so he just went in on his own, got popped instantly.
And they got an inhibitor off of this.
And he didn't even ulti. He just like ran in, no stealth for him, and just an easy target for SK.
Definitely not on the same level as he was able to play to yesterday. SK, of course, are a much tougher customer to deal with in this situation, but they have gotten themselves a decent lead off of these Elements misplays. SK Gaming now can nicely back away from that one. Didn't give anything up. Dragon's up in a minute. It's looking good for them. What can Elements do here, though?
Well, for now, stick to the same tactic. You are still very strong 30 minutes in. Your Rumble, again, though, Wickd here, not running with that magic penetration, which we typically see that gives you such a good spike in the mid game. He's going for full AP on this Rumble, but SK really been playing these last 2 fights so well. I mean, the way they realize, okay, 2 ultis are gone from Elements in the jungle, we can go for them. How Svenskeren engages them, flashes away, and obviously Freddy with the perfect positioning coming in from the bottom side. And then the next one here, just sitting ready, you saw nRated, instantly just pop Monsoon as Shook jumped in. No stealth though, and no claw coming, so they could just pop him. Get a tower and inhibitor as well. So for now, SK Gaming looking strong. They're giving up the dragon area again though, allowing Elements to set up a few ping wards and now look for the right engage.
Yeah, Shook's gonna try to jump in onto Freddy, but he shifts his way out of danger, so the Rengar ultimate is down for the moment. Elements look to position right back over by the dragon, but SK are still here and ready.
And a very key item now completed for Forgiven, the Quicksilver Sash. So he can cleanse if he gets engaged on. No ulti from Shook, remember?
Svenskeren going in. Fox, they've caught Nyph out. Freddy dealing with Froggen. Svenskeren is just barely able to make it away. Freddy goes down, Froggen goes down. It's a 1 for 2. SK Gaming in position, and they start the dragon.
And again, every single time Shook has no ulti, SK, they want to fight. They engage onto Elements here. We have QSS for Forgiven. Mikhail's being picked up by nRated. Also making sure Freddy could stay alive as long as possible. Did end up dying in the end. Let's just see it again here. Nyph is going to be the target. There's no ulti for Shook. So SK, they want to fight and engage onto Elements. If he goes into Nyph, followed by the charm, he will go down. And notice here, Mikhail straight onto Freddy, making sure he can just deal out some damage before he goes down and clean up, or in the end, not really a clean up, just get an extra kill for Forgiven. 2 for 1, and a dragon for SK.
Very importantly, and I've really been impressed at Svenskeren's ability to just stay alive while tanking up 4 out of 5 members of Elements. That's not the first time he's done it either.
No, he's really doing a good job in terms of how he engage and instantly move away, knowing there's so much burst between Lissandra and Graves, so he can't stay in there, instead backing out and getting another rotation of his EQ combo later in the fights. And obviously also staying alive with that locket. It's fairly important you keep those 20 or the 20 MR for your team against double AP.
Up in the top lane, Elements looking to shove in. Taking their time about it, however. Forgiven and Freddy are around, clearing out the red buff. nRated has joined that little bit of a jungle roam. Elements actually backing away from this one, so they're not super confident in their ability to fast push down objectives. And really, it does seem that the key in SK's victories in these fights and skirmishes has been, is Shook's ultimate down? Okay, go.
Yeah. Again, disengage the first time when Shook popped his ult and tried to go in. We saw Freddy beforehand just dash into his own turret. And suddenly the ulti was wasted by Shook, and then SK sees the opening. But again, it's always been the problem for Rengar is you need to create the pick, you need to start the fight. Once your ulti is gone, you don't really add anything compared to a Jarvan in these team fights, and that's why SK can keep looking for the fights. And they have great positioning again around Elements when they actually start them. There's always someone coming from the side here where Elements isn't expected, and suddenly they can't get off this massive AoE combo because SK is split up.
Yeah, they're playing it out very smartly to not take the engages on Elements. Turf now. Nyph is going to be caught by the charm. Coling is out. They've thrown him down. Fox picks up the kill, and they're going in for round 2. Svenskeren does the jump in, jump out once again, and Wickd having to burn his flash. Forgiven actually not taking that much damage and zoning away Froggen. Shook is already backed out of the fight. So they grab a tower, they grab a kill. Baron's up in 8 seconds.
Yeah, Nyph 20 seconds still here. Froggen also forced to go back. There's going to be another Baron for SK Gaming. They're just going to start it instantly here. Teleport from Wickd.
Yeah,
Elements, they want to fight
this, but the Baron is falling so
there's
quickly
no
right now. He's going to have to just try for the Spine Steal. No, he's discouraged from it. They're going to get the trinket. Shook chased away, but maybe he can't get away. As soon as they pick the Baron, they turn it around. Shook is caught up, nowhere to go. Mid leap, Forgiven with another kill.
And SK Gaming are looking so strong in these fights here. They punish every single mistake Elements has made in this game. And now, get another inhibitor. Second time mid goes down. And remember again, like the comp from SK, especially with this Azir, it's just going to get stronger and stronger. Azir is so good late game, especially if you can't kill him instantly. He just gets to stand there with his soldiers. And with nRated protecting him, it's not looking good for Elements right now.
They've got a wave on the bot side building. Everything's starting to go their way. Froggen eats a charm. The wave clear is ridiculous at this point for SK Gaming. They've got the Baron buff. This tower, I can't even finish the sentence at this point. They're just going on. There's no reason not to. Super minions are going to start streaming into the middle. They've got a wave pushing in their favor slowly in the top side. Elements in full damage control mode. But how fast can they stop this push?
Well, SK just waiting for the next wave and also waiting for the top lane here where a lot of minions has been built up. Pushing actually just going to double check if it goes in favor of them or Alliance. Yeah, heavily in favor of SK. So they can just stay here, wait for those minions as well. And engage from Nyph.
Freddy's caught. They're going to send Nyph in onto him, but they weren't quite on the same page as Froggen. Gets a frozen tomb out. Rekkles picks up Svenskeren, a pair of Zanya's hourglasses, but I think it's Froggen going down. Forgiven with another, Forgiven with a double. They're going in for more, and Elements cannot even defend their own base. Monsoon up. Let's go in, recharge the batteries, take another inhibitor. Elements, can they even stay alive?
And Shook wasn't even in that fight. He still has ulti ready here. Again, Elements not on the same page when they're engaging onto SK, and that's why SK can take the fight.
He's gone invisible, but he's taking his time about it now. The Nexus turret's being fired down. Still have this Baron buff on. Elements, can they stop this? It doesn't look like it right now. SK Gaming, one Nexus turret, two Nexus turrets. Now they're on the Nexus itself.
The best
down
team in Europe
goes. The best team in Europe stays undefeated. 6-0 for SK Gaming.
What a performance from the lane swap. Then into the mid game here. A little, like 5 minutes basically, where Elements had some good fights, managed to set up some good wards around it, get a few picks. But then, from every single missed ulti, when it comes from Nyph or Shook, when they failed to engage, SK could just go back in, re-engage onto them, and win the team fights. What a performance.
Yeah.
This team.
There's nothing you can say about that other than that. They came up massive. It looked for a moment there were some Elements advantages. There were those elements of victory, and they just didn't stack it up together. They weren't able to combo up. SK Gaming got a couple picks, got in a roll, took advantage of every misstep by Shook, every misstep by the rest of Elements. And there he is on your screen, Forgiven, once again, unkilled. So he has that one death to his name, but he adds 5 more kills and 5 more assists to that KDA. Fantastic score, fantastic team play all around. You can have no complaints if you're this team.
No, really, I quite like the comp Elements was running against SK because you know you can set up these picks and it looked good for them for a moment, but then suddenly it was like getting a little bit too overhyped maybe. Shook jumping in onto nRated, really up around the red buff, sorry, of SK Gaming. That was the turning point really where SK got in, got the right team fight.